it. Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. All right, how you all doing today? Uh, I know I was supposed to talk about rental opportunities outside Lagos today. Pardon me. I'll be discussing that um, on our next live stream by God's grace. I need this light to be on. Check it. If it's not on, something must have happened. All right. Okay, if you can hear me, let me know. Give me a thumbs like. Good afternoon. If you're joining this live stream for today, give me a thumbs like. Okay. All right. Increase the lights. Good. Increase it again. Okay. Can you bring it closer? All right. Bring the lights closer. All right. Please change this one to the same. All right. So if you're, let me know when you're joining this live stream from. It's going to be an eventful day. Okay. My name is Adejare, and I'm super delighted to be on your screen today. So I want to start this live stream by appreciating everybody that has been working with us, and of course I also want to specially appreciate those who have been constantly following all of our live stream. I obviously don't take this for granted. Increase this light, please. I don't take this for granted. Okay, I think it's better this way. All right, so drag this light there. Make sure it's on. It complements it. All right, so I want to say a very big thank you to everybody. Find a way to plug this light. Look for. Remove that cord that I connected that dish to. The dish, yes, remove the cord. Use it to power it. All right, so I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that has been here. So let's talk about how to identify problematic properties. So if you're joining this live stream, I want to say thank you very much for joining us. Why I have decided to talk about this today, basically, good, is due to the fact that there are some emerging situations that happened recently, and this obviously calls for serious deliberation. Good. All right, so sorry I have to stop. I'm just trying to make sure things are done properly here. All right, so there've been a lot of misconceptions. There've been a lot of let's say avoidable troubles that has happened over time, and I use that expression avoidable trouble simply because of the fact that these situations would have been adequately avoided if the real estate investors probably understood some of the investment terminologies, and in Lagos basically use that other light that this one is using. So in Lagos you need to have an accurate understanding of that when you are buying real estate, it has been proven without facts that because of the fact that Lagos is actually tagged one of the most exciting destinations for rental opportunities, these obviously have attracted both the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when you hear the terms distress, there are a lot of circumstances that may warrant distress sales. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that if you are buying Lagos, if you are buying real estate in Lagos, price obviously should not be the only motivating factor. Now, this is not to say that you should, buy something that is way above, your budget, your investment budget. But sometimes, price in some locations are indicators. Move it to the side. Indicators of either opportunities or disasters waiting to happen. Now, there was this situation of a particular colleague of mine. I think they were in court today. Is okay, yeah, they were in court somewhere around Tuesday. He was speaking with me over some dispute he's having with the present real estate developer. And one of the things he told me is that they saw these signs and they decided, to ignore. Now, on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about, it's going to be very brief. Today's episode is going to be how to avoid problematic properties. What basically are the clear dangers that you would see that this particular investment will give you problem. So we're going to be talking about very briefly, and like we do in our tradition, in case you're coming across this particular channel for the first time, please do well to subscribe, and I can assure you that we have more exciting topics like this that we will bring into your doorstep. Trust me, you definitely don't want to miss any part of it. And if you have subscribed, please invite your friends and family to do so, and also try as much as you can, okay, to share this video with your loved ones. Now, what are the clear indicators of problematic properties? Number one, a problematic properties always have a ridiculous price. Now, I have said it with times without number that the real estate industry or the real estate development industry is more or less like the survival of the fittest. If you have been following any of my videos, you will agree with me basically that when you are buying real estate in Lagos, it's always like everybody is trying to call for your attention. A lot of people are sometimes trying to introduce offers that are too good to be ignored. Now, that is not to say that every offer is fraudulent, but when you choose to buy an investment that are too good to be true, do you understand? These are some of the indicators that you will have problems. Now, there are some instances whereby a sale may be a distress sale, and a developer or the owner of that property needs to sell that property to address some important issues. Now, that is obviously different from a scenario, okay, whereby someone is trying to sell off that property because he is fully aware of the dangers that are coming to that property. I'm going to give a clear case scenario. As I was coming back from the Lagos mainland yesterday, I observed that the Lagos state government are beginning to mark some buildings that are infringing on the setbacks. In one of my videos, I said that there was a notification that was sent by the Lagos state government, and this notification basically is to inform property owners whose properties are sitting on the setback. And we got this notification at the beginning of this year. Then I knew very well that the untold is coming to real estate investors. Now, in that kind of scenario, I can assure you that the person whose property is at the risk of demolition, such person, okay, will be forced to put out that property at a distress sale. Now, it is always a case of, it is better I transfer that impending danger to an innocent or an ignorant real estate investor who may not, okay, be aware of the impending danger that this property carries. And that is why for larger percent of the distress sales that I have personally, investigated, I can tell you basically that many people have decided to transfer the risk to someone else in situations whereby they don't want to lose it all. So let me quickly reiterate this fact. I am not saying that every distress sales is a problematic property. I'm only saying that larger percent of some of the different distress sales that I have personally investigated are clear case scenario of things like this. That's number one. Then number two, you also need to identify properties with wrong documentation. Now, there are cases of no documentation and there are cases of wrong documentation. Now, a lot of people don't understand that if you are buying in Lagos, it is very important that you understand the documentation for that property. Now, this is due to the fact that, please adjust the fan here, it's blowing towards the side. Now, this is due to the fact that a lot of real estate investors are not familiar with some certain, yes, policies and regulations that determines documentation. Let me talk about no documentation, and I'm also going to talk about wrong documentation. This basically may sound familiar, but they are two different things. Now let's talk about no documentation. I have lost money investing in some properties in Lagos, so I think I am in a better position to explain from my own experience some of the unfortunate, move it to this place, some of the unfortunate circumstances that has happened. And one of the reasons why I lost money while investing in real estate is that I prioritize cheap properties. Now, for some of my real estate investors who have been conversant with the advent of property advertisements, for some people that sold the Bedrileki, excision in process and the likes, I am a victim, and I bought some couple of properties then under the disguise, okay, of excision in process. And today, I can categorically tell you, okay, that I stand the chance. Okay, do I even need to use that expression? Those properties are gone. There was a particular time I drove towards one of those properties because I heard, there was a coastal road. Of course, we got to know, the information about this coastal road before the entire process started. And when I got to the particular location of where I bought, I don't even know it. I would describe it as a bittersweet experience. Bitter in the sense that the coastal road has taken half of the estate we bought into, and the sweet experience basically is that development is coming here and we cannot boldly beat our chest and say we still have property here. So what has happened to me is that I bought into property without documentation. Now, a lot of people have been swindled. A lot of people have been lied to simply because some real estate development companies have used manipulations to sell properties. And what are some of these manipulations? We have manipulations like when they say a property has freehold, they will say, sometimes you ask what is the title for this property, they will tell you it's freehold, or they will tell you it's excision is process. Before we found out that there is nothing like freehold as a title, as long as Lagos State is concerned, we are falling victim to some of these things. And before we found out that there's nothing like excision in process, is either your property has excision or it has none. So we bought in thinking that excision. So we bought into properties, okay, that did not have documentation. The only thing the developer showed us basically was their big signboard on the properties and the deed, the contract of sale, they had with the family they bought in from. Okay, yes, of course that happened several years ago because I did not have the proper knowledge of property documentation. And of course you can be rest assured that obviously cannot happen again. That one is a sure assurance that no, gone are those days where I will be manipulated. Now another way to avoid problematic properties is to buy properties that do not have proper documentation. Now, wrong documentation is when you cannot trace the title to any registered, recognized documentation. Now, what are the registered documentation? When a property has a C of O, when a property has a gazette, when a property has a governor's consent. Now, I've said it in one of my videos, basically, that when you have that title, the seller of that gazette or the seller of that C of O or the seller of that governor's consent is not recognized by the government, despite the fact that he has bought from the person whose name is on the title. So what I'm trying to say in essence basically is that when government gives a title to a property, I'm discussing Lagos. I don't know if this is obtainable in other states, but I'm going to use a Lagos case study so that you can have a thorough understanding of how documentation, property documentation works. So I'm also going to be having a live session where I'll be explaining all you need to know about land titles and how to secure. Of course, I'll be talking about that today. The later part of that today. Now, when you have a title on the property, now the person that bought may not be the bearer of the title. Like for instance, if a real estate developer buys, they tell you a property has a C of O. Now, many of us are always comfortable, okay, that yes, I have a C of O, or the property has a C of O. Many of us are not inquisitive to find out whose name, okay, is on the documentation. Now, I got to know this because I was having a conversation with one of our lawyers, and she explained a lot of things. You know, one of the reasons why we share ideas, why we share a lot of information like this, basically, is that we understand how strenuous many people are working. Please tell them to give you an handkerchief. We understand how strenuous or how hard many people work. Many people take. Yes, good afternoon, and welcome to the live stream. So we understand how difficult it is, okay, to work and raise money to buy. Now, you see, in this area of documentation, now the next thing you are supposed to do as a real estate investor is to ensure that the title is transferred to you. You need to ensure, don't worry, I have one here. Tell them not to worry. So it is to ensure that there is proper transfer of title. Now, I'm going to cite this more recently. Now, a lot of people confuse me to be to say what I do majorly is just to help do due diligence, research property title, do every other thing. I sell properties too, my dear real estate investors. So if you want to buy any property, whether it's on the Lagos mainland, I was on the Lagos mainland, of course, I'm going to be dropping a video concerning that very soon. Whether it's on Lagos mainland, Yaba, Ikeja, Victoria Island, Banana Island, anywhere on the mainland, on the island, I sell that too. And of course, on the Lekki axis, Shongotedo axis, Abijo axis, Acha, Ibramadation axis, of course, I also sell properties too. But what I have done, you know, over time is that I have been actively involved, okay, in searching. Now, what I discovered basically was that there was a C of O on that property. Do you understand? So I discovered that there was a C of O on that property. Now, a lot of people usually have this impression that when the developer has a C of O, that settles it. Yes, it settles it in the sense that once a property has either a gazette, a C of O, or a governor's consent, yes, it shows that that land is safe. Government is not going to come in the future and say they want to take the land, or they will say there's a project coming. No. That one basically will certainly not happen. However, it is also important to know that if that C of O is not properly transferred from the buyer to the seller, we may have some underlying legal issues that may happen in the future, okay? And that issues may cause a lot of catastrophic problem. And one of such basically was that, so when I was, doing my due diligence on that particular property, I found out that the C of O that was on that land was actually shared among 4 real estate developers in that place. Yes, it was shared. So that means somebody bought that land that is covered with the entire C of O. and he sold it to 4 real estate development company. Now, selling it to the 4 real estate development company basically is not the bone of contention. My fear basically is that I would say it is rather unfortunate that none of the developer thought it wise for them to register that C of O on their company's name. So because you see, you need to understand, a lot of people used to say, a lot of realtors have come to your DM. They say, dear real estate investor, dear madam, dear sir, if as long as the property has the C of O, there's no problem. Yes, there is no problem with the government. However, kindly note that the government recognizes the person whose name is on the title as the actual owner, and this is why it is very important that after buying that C of O, ensure you register your deed at Alausa. That's all. See, the moment you can register your deed, what you have done basically is that you have informed government that if anything happens, or probably because I've seen instances where people have used C of O to scam people in the sense that they can use the C of O. There was this trending matter, okay, that is happening by for some of us that know, Omonile lawyer. He raised more serious allegations, though I have not confirmed, okay, if that allegation is true. So I will just say allegedly, according to him, he said there's a particular developer that was selling C of O land, and when they requested for that C of O, they gave him a photocopied C of O, and he was insisting that he wanted to, get the C of O, blah, 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 blah. So when he began to, research deeper, he found out that the developer has used the C of O to obtain loan. Now, that is his own findings. So I cannot come here to say whether it's right or it's wrong, but it's an allegation. And of course, I expect the company to make some publications either to accept or debunk whatsoever allegations that has been raised against them. But obviously, what I'm trying to say in essence is that if you have bought property, endeavor to register your deed. It is important. Whether it has C of O, whether it had whatever title, the moment you have registered your deed, whatsoever that may happen in the future, you will not have issues. And registering your deed between 1.5 to 2 million, it will be done. If you have spent 25-30 million to buy a property, to register your deed with 1.5 and 2 million should not be a problem. Just get somebody that will just, okay, this is my deed of assignment. I want it signed that allows her, so that government will know that this person know that how this year of has transferred. It's as simple as that. So I discovered that 4 real estate development companies were selling the land with one C of O, and none of them endeavor to register their deed in their company's name. Now, some of these errors, okay, has become a noticeable one, but because of the fact that a lot of real estate investors are not aware of this, okay. Now, there is a C of O which protects the land, but what if there are underlying matters that may happen in the future? I've seen instances whereby someone that sold a land with C of O to some companies, the man can just wake up one day and say they are owing him, and he can choose, okay, to do what? To cancel the transaction and say he's no longer interested in selling. See, the industry is so unpredictable to the point that you can easily lose your investments if you don't understand some of the likely problems that may come. It is very important you know this. So they can say, okay, fine, you are owing me this. Maybe the person that bought from them did not pay as at the time they were supposed to, and they sold to you. They have allocated to you. They can just say something that happened. So what has happened in that kind of scenario is that none of the company decided to register the title. So in the future, if there are underlying legal matters, okay, it can easily result to that. So it is very important that you register your title regardless of what is on the property. Register it, let them register your deed, let them give you your copy of either governor's consent. Of course, you get a governor's consent. When you register your C of O, you get a governor's consent. When you register your gazette, you get a governor's consent. When you register your governor's consent, you still get a governor's consent. So basically, the most important thing is that when you have registered the title in your name, what you have done basically is that you have documented your property properly. So in a situation where properties are not properly documented, it may end up become a problematic investment. That is it. Now, another way you can identify a problematic property is in a case of abandonment. When a developer abandons a project without any reasonable explanation for that, basically, in my years of experience, I have come to realize that in acquiring properties in Lagos, a lot of people have said Lagos has a lot of homeowner issues, some places, not everywhere. And a lot of people have said, okay, for this case or for this kind of scenario, I want to avoid Lagos. Now, the thing is, one of the easiest way you can have problem if you are buying real estate in Lagos is to buy from naive real estate development companies. You see, I have always emphasized on brand. I have, because the reason why I'm saying this is due to the fact that I have witnessed several scenarios of Omonile bringing people to attack companies despite the fact that those people have paid them. I have seen instances of companies not having access to the properties they have bought. I have seen scenario, okay, whereby some real estate development companies will buy land from Omonile and they will refuse to pay them completely, despite the fact that they have sold the entire properties. Now, in scenarios whereby you have noticed abandonment, basically, I know that when a developer buys an estate or a property newly, it may need a lot, 1 or 2 funds to do this, to do that, blah, blah. Yes, that one is a different scenario. In a place whereby 1 year after purchase, you're not hearing anything from it. 2 years, you're not hearing anything from it. 3 years, you're not hearing anything from it. 4 years after purchase, no one is saying anything. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you that something is wrong with that investment. You don't. You don't. There was a particular time I went to check a property on behalf of a real estate investor, and when I got to the site, some unpalatable situations happened. How do I explain this? Some things happened, and when I called the real estate developer to inform him that this was what I experienced, you know what he told me? He said I was lucky to have even made it out alive. Initially, I thought he was joking, like maybe it was a joke, and I said, Oga, this obviously is an expensive joke. He said no one goes to that property without informing them. And I was like, oh, really? And I asked, why should I inform you? He said there are some underlying matters they are trying to solve. But I said, okay, fine. Since there was an underlying matter that you guys are trying to solve, why didn't you put a notification out there that nobody should come to this place until these underlying matters have been adequately resolved? So basically, if you are buying real estate, if you must buy properties in Lagos, because there is a lot of unpredictable things that may come after buying properties. But if you have bought from a credible brand in Lagos, I can assure you that you may not experience a lot of worries as when you buy from an unproven brand. So one of the things we need to talk about today is that how can I identify a proven brand from a problematic brand? Now, this is not to say or to undermine the efforts of every real estate developer that is trying as much as they can to, create a legacy, dominate the industry, and also create a name for themselves. But I have experienced too many problems on site inspections for me to thoroughly understand basically that when it comes to purchase, I don't do some unnecessary experiments. So how do you know a brand that we protect? So because your focus as a real estate investor should be focus. There was a friend of mine that bought a property from a developer in the Ibramadison axis. A lot of people would have thought, for this real estate development company to buy a property in the Ibramadison axis, trust me, he has to be a rich person. Now, I'm going to be talking extensively on some other aspect of real estate, problems that developers encounter even after purchase. I'll be talking about that. Obviously, not in this particular episode, in subsequent episodes. So this is why you have to be part of this channel, okay? And of course, anytime I'll be coming live, I'll be dropping that notification ahead, okay? So today is Wednesday. So our next live session, by God's grace, is going to be on a Friday by 3:30, 4 p.m. I'm going to be live. So we're also going to talk about this. So now, 3 years after that purchase, I found out that this particular friend of mine has been very, very worried. He's been having to go to that company for some particular numbers of time. And I got so interested in the situation. I asked him, I said, my alpha guy, what exactly is going on? And he said basically that after buying a property from this particular real estate developer, it was an off-plan project. The developer failed to allocate, and every attempt to get that allocation, it's been from one problem to another, that they've had to witness too many scenarios where allocations has been shifted, only for him to get a notification from that same company that they had to add some amount of money to the property simply because the cost of building materials have skyrocketed, and the amount of money the real estate investors paid as at that particular time could not finish that project. So they got a notification and they said they were going to get their lawyer involved. They are going to do this and they are going to do this. Now, I've had a lot of real estate investors talk to me about off-plan. And I will keep saying what I've been saying all the time. If you must buy off-plan, the first thing you need to understand is that there is inflation in Nigeria. There is. So because of that inflation, a developer, I'm not trying to say this to their defense, okay, because this actually calls for a lot of clarifications. I'm not trying to say what the real estate developer, what they did is justifiable, but we also need to be realistic as well. So you can buy a bag of cement today. I remember when I was supposed to do a fencing project, for a real estate investor, someone that bought property from me in the Ijebu side of Ekpe, and we gave the owner a budget, and he said he wanted me to supervise because he doesn't want anybody to do a shabby job. Now, as at the time the man gave, because he paid the money to my own account to help him do the fence, the estimate we gave him was around when cement was selling for 7,500 per bag. So as at the time we started the fence, I had issues with the contractor that was handling that project. The guy was not forthcoming. Thank God I didn't give him the entire money. So we are in the process of trying to get the contractor, blah, blah, blah. We were able to sort that within 2 to 3 weeks. Dear brothers and sisters, my real estate investors, as at the time I collected the money from this particular real estate investor, is based in the diaspora, cement was selling for 7,500. By the time we did the first 2 coach, because it was supposed to go 5 coach, cement increased from 7,500 to 9,000. Truck of sand, as at that time, was around, I think, 70,000, 80,000. It increased to 90,000. Sure, you understand? And then they were selling, I think, 1-inch block as at that time for, I think, 500, or I can't remember. But you know what happened basically was that because of the fact that I have integrity, and because of the fact that I have given, that's why sometimes if you want to do your own personal work on site, I will just say, I'll just give you the official number. Please discuss with him. I had to use my own personal money to complete that fencing project. I spent a lot. So I ensured that the project was completed, because I don't want a situation whereby the man would say, you Nigerians are like that. So I now called the man. I said, sir, this is what happened, though it's not your fault. The first set of contractors that we gave the job to were not reliable. There was a case of mismanagement, so we had to take it off them. In the process of trying to get somebody else to get the job done, this was the price as at the time I collected this amount of money from you, and this was the price. So I told the man that this is what you are going to add. And this is why I have sworn in my life not to have anything to do with personal development of your sites or properties. I have sworn to God. I received a negative response from the man. And the man was saying his sister somewhere told him that what he paid, he overpaid. That how can I be saying he should be adding money, blah, 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 blah. I said, so what's now going to happen to the money I added? He said he doesn't know anything about it. So in the process of not trying to get offended or say things I was not supposed to say, I just decided to end that conversation. I think a month later, someone now told him that, what Adejare told you is true. That what did you tell him? So, the guy, this particular person has been trying to call to apologize. Though I got my money back after I got the confirmation from somewhere that I was telling the truth. But you see, the things he said, there are some words you say that cause irreparable damages. So that's how to say. So since that day, I swore. So what I'm trying to say basically is that because of the fact that there's inflation, okay, the cost of building materials can skyrocket. And that is why I have always advised that if you must do off plan, the maximum payment plan you should do should not exceed 12 months. I'm going to say it again. Because of the fact that there's inflation at which prices can go up at any time. And when prices goes up at any time, the developer will not have any other choice than to do what? Than to increase price. He's not going to use his own personal money to do it. He's going to increase price. And that was what happened with this particular developer. So though the developer hoped to have, delivered the project before then, but because of the fact that I think he was offering, I've seen real estate development company offering 5 years, 5 years plan, payment plan. I've seen 8 years, and I've also seen 24 months. For every real estate investors who cares to listen to the truth, Nigeria is not a place where you will buy off plan and developer is saying you should pay in 24 months. It's not Nigeria. Lagos is not a destination whereby they will tell you can pay for 5 years, 8 years. You can be rest assured that during that duration of that payment, you will get several notifications from the developer asking you to pay more money. I can assure you. So it is better you look for a project that has between 6 to 12 months. Stick to that, because a lot of people said we abroad we can buy properties, pay, there's mortgage for 20 years. Nigeria has not got to that place yet. So I really need to say this. So for you to avoid situations whereby they'll be calling you back or they'll send you an email that you have to add more money, please, dear real estate investor, between 6 to 1 year is enough to do off plan. If you now say, because somebody is saying I'm offering 24 months, I'm offering 5 years, I'm offering 8 years, shall be rest assured that before the expiration of that payment plan, you will get notification from developer of what, for adding more money. That one is so guaranteed. So that was what happened, and as I'm talking to you right now, they are still in court, because they are saying that they've paid developer since 2023. This is 2025. He ought to have finished the project. This one is asking for more money, is uncalled for. You can avoid situations like that if you must buy off plan. Okay, there are some good off plan that you can buy. They are good. In fact, some of the properties I sold to some real estate investors were at the off plan projects. Okay, they were at the off plan level, because there are some real estate developers who are aware of inflation and who have successfully managed that situation, and they delivered the project without asking for more money from investors. So that is that. So when there is a clear case of abandonment, you don't need a social to tell you that that is a problematic properties. So these are some of the important things you need to know, because you see, the reason why I'm sharing these important information with you people today is due to the fact that there are some things, there are some problems that can be avoided. So if going forward you want to buy land, don't look at price. You want to buy house, don't look at price. Don't look at price in the sense that don't ignore a brand that have successfully delivered and go and buy from a brand that might be doing that project for the first time. Because you see, doing construction in Lagos is much more expensive than other parts of the state. I have to reiterate that and drive home that point. It's very, very important I say this, so that you can have an understanding that these are the way things work. So the brand is as important, and a lot of people have reached out to me. I'll tell you, okay, I want to buy properties in Ibejuleki. Which brand have you worked with? Which one do you think I should work at? Okay, fine. I've worked with this person, I've worked with this person. Process of allocation has been seamless. The documentation has been massive. Their customer service has been superb. Work with them. Okay, so these are some of those things. So whether it's off plan, whether it is landed properties, because of the fact that there are some underlying issues that will happen. A lot of people have said the land is free from Onile Wahala. See, for these brands that have stood the test of time and they have delivered what they've paid for, there are some underlying matters that these guys are facing. There are some underlying matters. I was doing a project somewhere around last year, and that's why sometimes I've also made some decisions that there are some places I won't do project again. So we bought the land from a particular individual in Ekpe. So because of the fact that he wanted us to be familiar, okay, with some of the natives, the people in that environment, so that they can help us check and safeguard some of the building materials. So the guy introduced us, and we had a very peaceful introduction. He said, this is the ballet, this is the president of the youth, this is this. So we had an interaction and we greeted them. So anytime I'm on that side to do a lot of work, I will just stop by, as a Yoruba person, we know how to respect. So I'll just stop by, ballet, good afternoon, sir. Youth president, good afternoon, sir. I did not know that getting myself entangled with them would result to billing. 2 weeks to the Salah break, I had to switch off my phone. Because after sending the ballet money, I think there was a particular time one of our workers, because it's a farm, okay, so it's one of my clients' farm. So most times I usually drive there to just see how things are being done. So one of the farm worker called me that someone attacked him, asked him for money, and refusal to give him that particular money. They destroyed what he was carrying and he was beaten. I got so annoyed. I was very, very angry, and I asked him to look for the person's details. And I called the ballet to report the situation, that this is what happened. And to my surprise, the ballet said they know the guy, that ever since I've been coming, is the only person I have not paid. And I asked them that I didn't buy property from you people. What I just did was to pay a courtesy visit, give honor to whom honor is due. So I'm not under any form of obligation to give you guys money. What right does he have? So I found out that the ballet was, one thing I don't like about some people basically is that they abuse privileges. And the ballet was saying, is this from this town? I changed it for that ballet. Right in front, I called one of my officers in Epe, and I said this. And I said I was going to get him arrested. When the ballet saw my reaction, he had to change the tone of his conversation and said, he hasn't got to that. I said, what kind of nonsense is that? I didn't even ask him to repair what he damaged. For the fact that he has been attacking people that are working on that farm, asking for money. Did you buy anything from him? Did you do anything? So I had to call the police. The police came. The guy was fortunate that we didn't meet him. Assuming we met him, we would have locked him up. So basically, there are some underlying issues. A lot of real estate development companies just thinks that the moment you have bought properties and they can just start development. If you have had one or two encounters with Omonile, you will understand that development is not for the weak. It's not, because there are some underlying issues that these people face. There are some money that, all you just see is you will just notice that you have access to your property, you are working. But meanwhile, there are a lot of unrevealed battles that they face. And if the developer you have bought property from is not strong, it will affect your development. It will affect your properties. So that is why I have always emphasized and insisted on the fact that it has to be credible brands. It has to, regardless of where the property is, it has to be credible. So these guys will ensure that your investment is safe. If you doubt this, there were properties we bought. I personally bought in 2019, 2018. I don't have access to those properties. The shocking thing basically is that one of the developers that sold, I still see his WhatsApp status of him and his family in the UK. This is somebody that sold property in Nigeria, and there was an issue, he left the country. There are a couple of them running away, and a lot of real estate investors were like, let me buy from these guys because I want to encourage them. I want them to know that we can grow together. It's a lie, yo. Encourage fire. I've seen instances whereby the reason why even some of them are even setting up that company basically is to generate funds so that they can apply for some visas, have a good proof of payment, and leave the country. So I'm saying this from experience. I don't want to start mentioning that people that we've bought properties from, that my friends have bought properties from today, that we don't have access. And the painful thing of all is that we drive past that property, we see them, and we know we can't have access to them again. So in times of property ownership, you can't just bought. You can't compromise on the brand. You can't. So there are a lot of brands that have been even since inception till date, and they are still doing a great job. So if you must buy to avoid situations of losing of money, having this, or having to go to court or involve the police, there are some brands that they know that what has helped them is their name, and they will do everything humanly possible, even divinely possible, to ensure that brand integrity is maintained. They would not allow. That's why sometimes, I was saying it. I've said it in some of my videos. There are some companies today in this our Lagos that Omonile cannot dare to attack them, because they know that these people are they are a force. Yes, they are. So you can't just leave those brands and go to unknown brands that you don't know their intention. I'm so sorry to bring in scriptures to this. Bible says the heart of man is desperately wicked. Some people, their heart is not wicked, their heart is evil. The intention of why some of them is going to real estate development is to scam you. So the heart is not just wicked, it is evil. Some hearts are evil. Some people don't have conscience. They just want to use your money. In fact, I've been to some, when I used to go to club, I've seen the way some real estate so-called developers, the way they are spending your money. They are doing oblate with your money. Sorry, that's not official, but it's just to liven up the conversation. What they are doing, what some of them are doing with some of the projects they sold for you in Bechileki and other places that they cannot account for. What they are doing with the money, you'll be amazed. So that is why you cannot compromise on the brand. You can't. I have to keep emphasizing this. So one of the easiest way to avoid problematic property is to prioritize the brand you are buying from. It's to prioritize the brand. So the moment you have been able to do that, you can rest assured that you are not throwing money in exchange of or for the so-called of investing. Okay, so I have some couple of questions here. The number is +234 802 132 7360. Isaac, please come help me and post the number. So I'll have somebody post the number. Don't appear on the live stream. So I'll have someone post the number on the live stream. So you join the live stream. So I'll be taking questions now. Like I said, it's going to be the shortest ever live stream ever. So I'm going to quickly post the number for anybody that wants to be part of, that wants to send questions to me via WhatsApp. +234 802 132 7360. So that is the number to send your questions. And a lot of people have said, can you help me check see. There was a scenario I think I spoke about of how I traveled from my office to Isheri North. You know, Isheri North has different sections, okay? There's the Lagos part of Isheri North and there's the Ogun State part of it. So that particular scenario, I went to the Ogun State, which is even farther. And after helping this person to get some valuable information, and I helped this same investor not to throw money away, the reaction I got, you know, is very, very appalling. Let me use that statement, appalling. So you can just send your questions to +234. Hold on, please. +234 730 60. So I'm just going to quickly respond to the ones I have now, and then we'll call it a wrap. It's going to be the shortest live stream ever because we're ending by exactly 6 o'clock. All right, so I'm going to post. So I'm going to post the number now. Okay, so is the WhatsApp enabled number? Okay, if you see it, just let me know. Okay, all right, the number is on the screen, so you can send it to me. Okay, let me have it. So I already have, you can go. So I already have some inquiries on WhatsApp, so I'll just quickly respond to the ones I can. Hey, I have said I have pleaded with my viewers not to direct questions to me concerning the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. I have another question here. I believe this person has an investment along the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. Okay, so because of the fact that I have pleaded, and I think I got this question the last time I was on this similar live stream, so I'm just going to respond to it. So you said you are going to talk about the gazetted setback for properties along the coastal road. I just want to send a reminder. Okay, yes, I said I was going to. What I can tell you concerning that setback is that government is working on it, and they are going to make it public. So whether the setback is going to be 120 meters from the road, whether it's going to be 200 or 300 or 500 meters, the official setback, okay, will be publicized for everybody to see. So what I recommended in my last conversation when I had to talk about this particular issue concerning the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road is that you should try, if you have bought, because yes, I started talking about it quite late. A lot of people have been buying properties there, so I would say probably this information did not get to you as at the time it was supposed to. However, if you have bought, if the developer is allocating or they intend to allocate, ensure they take you as far as possible from the setback. And another information that is reaching us from our source in Alausa basically is that the Lagos state government have suspended any approval concerning construction along the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, because I knew this was going to happen. I mentioned it. I knew it was going to. I just think it was a matter of time. So it's not just Lagos, even the Ogun State parts of the coastal road are also doing the similar thing. Now, what could now be the reason for this? Now, I think, let me use the word I think. The reason why they've done that is because of the fact that they are yet, okay, to make the official setback publication. They have not publicized it, okay. So what they are trying to do in essence is that they are trying to prevent future catastrophe in the sense that they would not want to embark on any needless demolitions. So, and of course, in Lagos, you cannot build unless you get approvals. So any approvals along the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, according to the information we have now, has been suspended pending the time that the official setback, the official gazetted setback will be made public. So you should also have that. So does that mean you should panic? No, if you are working, that's where that's part of one of the things I've been saying, that if you are buying properties, you can't compromise on the brand. So if you are working with a reliable brand, they should have this information at their disposal and they should work with it. So as a real estate investor, you should not worry if you are working with an experienced brand who is familiar with some of these policies. So I have another question concerning Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. Okay. All right, so this is actually from someone in Canada, and the question basically is, what will now be the fate of properties that have C of O file number? You want me to say what I don't plan to say? All right. I made a video, okay, where I was talking extensively on the difference between an actual C of O document and what a C of O file number is. Now, I believe for some of us that have bought the Ogun State part of that coastal road, because the coastal road is actually coming from VI, cutting across the Eleko Ibejuleki, and it's driving towards Ogun, Ondo, of course, till it gets to Calabar. And a lot of people have asked me that there are some real estate development companies that have C of O file number, and what is going to be the C of O. Now, I am not government, so because the reason why I actually make some of this analysis is to create, excuse me please, is to create, the purpose of this is to enlighten you people, because I know majority of you are not in Nigeria, and some of the realtors that are probably marketing this property to you, okay, may not be fully aware of some of these things. And basically, one of the reasons I pride myself in, that I've told my real estate investors basically, is that I pride myself because I make recommendations based on the information I have from Alausa. So I have some experienced and of course licensed registered surveyors who always make all this information public. So of course in our caucus meeting, so I know what I'm saying. When I've come out severally to tell real estate investor, if I'm saying this, I'm not saying it because I want to say it, because I have first class information. In fact, I'm also going to be talking about the setback for the Lekki Epe Expressway. That is obviously going to be on another episode. So for some of us that are buying facing road property, trust me, you don't want to miss the next episode, because I'm going to be sharing facts, whether it hurts you or not, because I've had a lot of people, they've sent me personal messages, you don't know what you're saying, blah, blah, blah. Well, whether I know what I'm saying, only time will review, but most of the things I'm saying are backed up with evidence, so I know what I'm saying. So for the CFO file number, I want to believe that every state government, okay, will definitely be waiting, okay, for the official setback information or the gazetted setback to make public before they start signing, okay, or before they start giving the necessary building approval, construction approval. So in other words, if you have bought the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, okay, probably you want to wait, okay. Now someone is saying, but we have government allocation CFO. Yes, you can have government allocation CFO, but in a place where a project of that magnitude is going on, government can override anything for I'll just say they can override it for public interest. They can. Yes, I've seen. So that means a state can give you title, and the federal government will say your title is override public interest. So they will want to do. So basically, what I'm just trying to say basically is that they've suspended every necessary approval along the coastal road, basically. So that was information we got today. And of course, there's also information reaching our desk concerning the construction along the Lekki Epe Expressway. I should probably talk about that, by God's grace, on Friday. I think I'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the gazetted portion, and of course, I'll be talking about places where government have marked. So you obviously, this is why you have to, you want to have first class information. There's no way you have all this information and you still buy bad properties. I sincerely, I'm so confident. So when I'm making recommendations, I've had instances whereby, a lot of people have, spoken to me and they said, you that you're always saying the truth all the time, are you sure you are selling? Well, basically, the goal is, even if the goal basically is to, help real estate investors, help them make right, but I will not put you at risk because of I want to sell. No, it's obviously not the best thing to do. So I will tell you the way things are, and then obviously leave you to make your decisions. Okay, I really don't know how to call black, white, or yellow. No, I sincerely don't know how to do that. I'll just tell you the way things are. So if you are following this channel, you have watched all our videos, you are following us, and you are still buying bad properties, I think that obviously you should take the blame for that, because like I said, we work with informations and we make recommendations based on the information we have at our disposal. So if you have bought, okay, just don't start construction yet, okay. Let government do whatsoever they wish to do, and basically, see, if another thing that I think it's very important, if you are bought from a brand that is reputable, you don't even need to worry. So let me even start by saying that, basically, see, there are some companies that we basically have bought property from in Bejireki, and I can tell you, we are sleeping and snoring, because we know that these guys, obviously, they have integrity, they have everything, there's nothing to worry about. So that's why I'm always emphasizing that if you're buying properties in Lagos, the brand you're buying from, so it's not about the price, it's about the brand. Okay, so if they are very, very reputable, of course they will handle that. So I have question, still on the coastal road. Should we have another? All right. So what's your take about downtown Lagos? No comments, please. I don't have any take. I don't have any recommendation. I'm not going to say anything about it. Okay. All I'll just say basically is that ensure they allocate you as far as possible from the setback. That's all. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about anything that has to do with company. Yes, it's a good property. It's facing the coastal road, and it's not beyond that. Thank you. All right, so someone asked a question. I'm spending beyond the time I planned. Is Can you mention some of the rental opportunities that we have from Abramadesoya down to Abijo GRA? Okay, yeah. Let me start from Abramadesoya. There is a property by a developer. I think a 2-bedroom. 3 months payment plan is 50 million. 6-month payment plan, which is the maximum, is 53 million. Of course, they are very, very reputable. There's also another one too in the Lekki scheme too, which is the Don Hill. 1 year payment plan. It comes with the 1 year payment plan, but 2-bedroom there is 75 million. Then 3 bedrooms is 85. And trust me, people are buying that property because if you have been there, you will see it. There's also another one in the Abijo axis, which is the Treasure 2, present selling for 65 million. So I'm sharing the rental opportunities for 65. Of course, if you're interested, we can negotiate further for a good discount. Of course, we also have in that same Abijo GRA for 39 Kakas 2-bedroom apartment, and of course 45 finished for that same property. So we have in other places too. So I'll be doing a video. I'll be releasing some videos of properties with good title, with good building approval, blah blah blah, that you can key into, and of course that is between 6 to 12-month payment plan. So I will be dropping that video subsequently, and of course several other videos like that. So I hope that I've answered the question, because I also got a message from another diasporan who was also asking that where are those rental opportunities. Now, presently right now, government is lighting up that Lekki Ekpe Expressway. Trust me, from Ekpe down here, once it's night, that place is beautiful. And of course, they're doing it in preparation of the construction of the airport. So buying properties right now is the best decision you can take, whether you choose to stay or not. But just buy it and hold, so that when that place blows up, trust me, you're going to be making very good. So someone advertised a lease property in Surulere. What do you have to say about this? Okay, now for leasehold is also a temporary way of owning properties in Lagos, Nigeria. It's the difference between lease basically is that the ownership is for a specified period of time. Like for instance, I've seen lease that comes with 17 years ownership. There are some with 18, 19 years ownership. But the good thing about lease basically is that you make good rental income while you have control of that property. And of course, if you manage the resources that is coming from that lease, you can reinvest it. So there are 2 types of ownership in the Lagos mainland. Okay, so we have full ownership and we have lease ownership. Now the difference between them is that lease ownership is not as expensive as full ownership. Now, are they investors keying into this? Of course, there are several real estate investors keying into this. Somebody actually sent me a message that they saw a video from a reputable colleague of mine who was giving an information about why he prefers buying lease than all this abandoned Ibejuleki, abandoned Lekki Ekpe, abandoned Ekpe property. So that's his own opinion anyway. But for me too, I'm very convinced that lease is a very good one. And of course, if you are doing leasehold in Surulere, in the Akoka axis of Jaba and other places, of course it's a good one. But my own reservation basically is that lease does not give you an opportunity to own forever. You get to own it for some period of time. So can you please share more information on the Abijo properties? Of course I will. There's a video that I'll be dropping concerning that very quickly, so you will have it. So because I have lots of questions here. Hey, another one on the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. Okay, what I'm going to say basically, okay, so this particular question says, what is the standard? Now, the standard, so this person is saying, what is the standard setback before an adjustment can be carried? Now, you need to understand that setback varies. It's not as if like there is an agreed or universally agreed setback dimension that is applicable everywhere. It varies. For instance, like I know very well that the one for Lekki Ekpe Expressway presently right now, I think it's between 90 to 95 meters from the main road. and other places you might see 50 meters if it's a waterfront properties. Before it used to be 30-20 meters, so it varies. It's not like there's a universal setback rule, that is applicable everywhere in Lagos. It varies, and sometimes government are the one to determine, okay, this is the setback we are now. According to my surveyor, he said that the standard setback is supposed to be 120 meters from the coastal road, but that information does not hold water until it is published. Now, whether it's going to be 120 meters, whether it's going to be 200 or 300 or 500 meters, that is yet to be seen. But of course, we will get to know when an official publication has been made. And I said that once that information is made, of course, I'll be the first person to notify you so that you know what you need to do as far as you are investing in Lagos. So I will try as much as possible to do that as soon as I can. The only thing I can tell you basically is that anything that has to do with construction, personal building along the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road has been suspended until the setback publication has been made official. So I think that's everything. Please, I know you want to ask questions. I'm not a surveyor, so please don't ask me anything that has to do with this, with the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road again. So someone said you have not advertised anything along the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. Could this be indicating danger? No, please. No. My decisions, basically, the reason why I have not considered advertising in that Lagos Calabar Coastal Road basically is that my own opinion. I feel, okay, that majority of those properties are overpriced. Trust me. Why will you ask me to buy a place where I cannot develop maybe in the next 2-3 years, and I'm buying it above 50 million? Trust me, it does not make sense as far as concerned. So my own opinion, to me, I feel that it does not make any investment sense for an investor to put 50-80 million where you can put that 80 million and buy different rental properties in the Yaba, Surulere axis of Lagos. So trust me, that's my own investment opinion. I'll rather get 1 or 2 properties. If I have a 2-bedroom with Romax at Mabrama, I will recoup my money if I use shortlet and every other thing. Of course, if I do rental property. So that is why basically I'm not that kind of interested in telling that. Of course, when even this setback matter even arose, I found out that it is also another thing. So I have a question here again from this is actually coming from a colleague, a realtor. Okay, so someone offered us a 20-room structure in Ibejuleki on 20-room hostel structure in Ibejuleki with 800 square meter. The title is Governor's Consent. It is located along the free trade zone. Do you consider to be a good deal? Well, when it comes to circumstances like this, I can't give recommendations. Number one, I really don't know where the property is, and I may not be familiar with the present value until we go with our property valuer. Okay, we have some professionals in this field that would do some valuations and of course confirm if the valuation is worth it or you're overpriced. So well, if it's a 20, the most important thing is shall ensure it's not falling on the setback, and of course it has a title. If it has it, if you can afford it and you feel it's a good deal, you can go ahead, but just ensure you do the needful. So I also have another question. Okay, so this person says, I bought a property in Oregon in Ibejuleki along in the Dangote refinery, and my realtor is telling me that some COO of that places have been revoked. Okay, you see, for that Oregon, many, because Ibejuleki is a Yoruba city and there are some names that sound a little bit hard. Okay, for some of us who are familiar with that refinery area, Oregon is the next settlement after the deep sea port. Is the next settlement. It's an ancient town, but it's behind the Dangote refinery axis. Okay, I know that axis very well. When I used to work with some real estate companies, we have gone there to do a lot of videos and adverts. Yes, of course, I was formerly with a real estate company before I started my company. So Oregon is a very good place. But the only as at the time I was at Oregon, because I really need to give my answers with adequate information. As at the time I was at Oregon in 2021, 2022, there were a lot of land crisis between people, between families and owners. In fact, there were cases of someone selling a land to military generals as at that time, and because of the fact that the military general left the land and they went, there were allegations that some Monile came back and resold. There were a lot of, so what actually happened, because as a result of that, was there were a lot of land crisis, in that Oregon, and government was forced to revoke some COVs, that was, given to some people in that community. So there were a lot of revoked COVs, and trust me, there were a lot of real estate investors that reached out to me when I started this my YouTube, and they were asking questions, and I told them, go and investigate, and many of them go back to me and said, God bless you, God bless you. For some, they have already paid some of the companies that were selling. I think some had already paid 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, and they found out that larger percent of where they bought this title has been revoked because of this crisis. And a lot of people are thankful, but because you see, one of the things I've been able to do basically is that, I don't know, I just like to help people, just tell you things the way they are. And so if you are buying in that axis, just verify before you buy. That's all I'll just say. Get a survey. And a lot of people are fond of buying properties without involving the appropriate persons. Basically, if you have bought from somebody else and you want me to go and check, I will not do that. But if you are about to buy and you want to buy through our agency, and of course, a lot of people have been saying, you have checked properties and you advised us not to buy. And the guy said, I noted, what kind of person are you? I said, what's the sense of buying what I know will be problematic in the future? So basically, I tell you, say things the way they are. So he just said, so we've done a lot of search in that axis, and I will tell you, Ogami, my brother, my sister, trust me, that area is a no-go area. In as much as fact that Ibejuleki is a place of opportunities, there are a lot of undisclosed land parcels there. All right, so by the special grace of God, I'm going to be talking about the Lekki Epe Expressway. There were some markings on some buildings from the Shongotedo, Yawuyaya. Government are beginning to enforce. So I have some couple of informations about that, but time obviously will not definitely permit me to go into that. And of course, I promised that it was going to be one of our shortest live session today, but definitely I cannot go beyond this. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you for some of questions that came in and I could not respond. Please, I've noted them down. By the special grace of God, I'll be here on Friday. We'll respond to some of those questions, and of course there will be more videos. So I want to quickly say a very big thank you to everybody that was part of this live session. I truly appreciate you, and for every form of property you want to do, let us help you, from verification to documentation and every other thing. Can be rest assured that we will ensure that no stones leaves unturned. So we're looking forward to hear from you. If case you want to do any property, and of course if you have any form of inquiry, of course you can reach us on our WhatsApp platform. Thank you very much. God bless you. See you on Friday. Bye for now.